So let's do a little history just based off of memory here. Everybody remembers Call of Duty, the World War II series, and I think obviously they had 3 come out. It was a computer game, it's on PlayStation 2, and to this point, it's funny. We were talking about bullet sponges. All of your heroes were taking massive damage before they died, because I remember even Bullet was telling me. So Brandon, so don't confuse everybody with all the bullet talk. You could he was like, man, that Call of Duty's serious. I mean, we had Medal of Honor, right? The series EA came out with the World War II series, but you could only take 1 or 2 shots in Call of Duty and you were dying. That was the thing, man. It doesn't play, man. It's like real war. 2 shots, you're dead. And, GoldenEye you could have body armor and you could take, 50 shots before you died. That's kind of the first shooter for a lot of console players. So this was the first kind of game where, man, this is kind of, a little bit more realistic in terms of you can't just go run out there blazing, going crazy. Well, it was a popular series. Again, it had a Medal of Honor series as well. EA did, so they're kind of competing. Well, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4, and it was called Modern Warfare because it was the very first time that they released, Infinity Ward released a modern shooter. So we're going to have modern times, but the Call of Duty engine, and it was a big deal. And so 2007, man, 12 years ago, it's unbelievable. Think about that. 2007, if say today was 2007, say today was 2007, if a game released 12 years before that would be what? Do the math in your head real quick. 1995. Yeah. So that's the PlayStation game. Wow. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that old was the day PlayStation 1 came out. Had 95, I believe. But anyway, man, it's crazy. So 2007. So it comes out. Everybody's pumped about it. And, dude, it crushed it. It is still one of the greatest shooters to this time of its day. And not even of its day, of this day. And then they kept every year. So it bounced between Treyarch and Infinity Ward. Treyarch, Infinity Ward, so you got the Black Ops series and all that. So it started to get more and more futuristic, right? And then we got Infinity Ward.
Let me ask you a question before you go further on that. Why did it bounce back and forth between the two? That's something I never understood. Why did it go back and forth between the two?
Yeah, I don't know how it started. That is a very good question about how.
I'll tell you my theory.
Okay.
The games are so broad in scope that I think they kind of had a mutual understanding that the other one was going to be working on the next one, because they couldn't release one every single year.
Yeah.
So I think that one of them was working on the next one while, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It would allow them to release one every year, which probably made EA happy.
Activision.
Activision, right. Yeah.
That makes sense, especially with Activision, how pushy they are about getting deadlines out.
So that's a rumor. That's a rumor because of Destiny.
It's definitely a rumor.
Well, all publishing companies are pushy, but I just want to make, you're right about them being pushy, but remember we had this big hate. Everybody that had loved Destiny had this big hate for Activision. We did that. Go listen to The Truth About Bungie. Oh, yeah. You'll find out the truth about Bungie. So sorry to interrupt you, man. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was just pointing out, with publishers having, sometimes some serious deadlines, because usually they put hard deadlines in and not soft deadlines, and so that makes it makes sense. I was just always wondered that, because it was always going back between Infinity Ward and what was the other one? Treyarch. So it's always going back and forth between the two of them, and I'm like, why does it switch back and forth? Why wouldn't it just stay with one studio and just go in there?
But Activision is greedy, man. They're a business. They're a company. So they're going to, hey, we can release 2 for the, just jump back and forth between these developers. They only get 2 years to work on it. But there's some subtle differences between these. And one not so subtle difference that I really enjoy is, it's unbelievable. So the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 is Infinity Ward, and then you got Treyarch that did World War II, and then it was World at War. That's the World War II one. They did that one, and then it went back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which was really good. But one of the not so subtle differences is if you play one on what is the difficulty? Like the legendary difficulty or whatever. What is it called?
Veteran.
Yeah, is it veteran? It's the master. The veteran is hardened. Veteran. Is it veteran? It's the hardest one. I can't remember, but the hardest difficulty. I enjoy playing the Infinity Ward ones on the hardest difficulty, but not the Treyarch ones, dude. It is a massive difference, and it's not just the difficulty. It's because of the enemies don't respawn in Infinity Ward's game. In Treyarch's game, you have to keep moving forward to get them to stop respawning. You know what I'm talking about, Coach?
Yeah, that's like Dark Souls.
It's a different. It's not fun. You feel some accomplishment when you sneak around and pop some dude in the head on top of a building in Infinity Ward. You're like, well, now I don't have to worry about that guy anymore. You know, it's just more fun, more realistic. It's more fun.
And that's exactly what happened in Dark Souls. In Dark Souls 1, all the enemies would respawn every time you died. And in Dark Souls 2, if you could go from one bonfire to the next, if you made it there, the enemies would stop respawning. And it just takes a lot of the frustration out of the game, but it definitely makes it easier.
If you die on Infinity Wars, they'll respawn. But if you just sit there in a corner, you're camped down and popping them as they come out, they'll never stop coming out on Treyarch's game. You have to move forward and basically trigger some.
I got what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? But the one on Infinity Ward, you kill somebody, then now I don't have 15 dudes, I only got 14 to worry about. And it's just more, it just adds to that immersion, you know. And
the only time that is good, though, it's like in an RPG when you're trying to level up. You know, if you're actually getting experience for killing all this stuff.
Level up my gun.
It'd be a good grinding spot, but
they don't do it then.
No.
No.
But the World at War, and I know we're here about the Modern Warfare, but the World at War, real quick, that game was so difficult on Veteran. It was like stab your face with a pencil, dude. I mean, it was like unbelievable difficult. If you couldn't pop your head out and you'd get sniped or shot, one shot dead, and you couldn't camp or hide because then you would literally get about 5 grenade indicators right on. I'm not even being sarcastic either. And the only person that I've ever known to finish that game on Veteran was Revelation. He went and did it just because it was so difficult. I mean, it's maddening. It's unbelievably hard to do. They toned it down on the other ones, but that was Treyarch's doing. But Sledgehammer did the World War II. That's the newest World War II, which is a phenomenal Call of Duty. They are still adding stuff to it once a month. I mean, at least one. I mean, they're just adding stuff to it, new content to it.
So now we're talking about there's a third developer on this on the Modern Warfare series.
Yeah, the Sledgehammer. But I don't know if they're going to do.
Okay.
That latest World War II had the best multiplayer.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Any of them that so far.
So anyway, as we progressed in the series, right before the World War II, they came out with one called Infinite Warfare. And we had constantly started getting more and more futuristic until it just got to be not even recognizable as a Call of Duty. People running on walls, just doing a 90-degree angle in midair because they have some booster packs and stuff like this. It just got, some jet packs. I mean, it's got to be stupid. And then they released Infinite Warfare in 2016, and it got so much hate on YouTube. I mean, it got millions and millions. It's the most downvoted video, the release trailer for it of all time. Well, of course, Activision has to please their chairman, their board of directors, their stockholders is really who they're trying to get and please. And so they release Call of Duty Modern Warfare with Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered. Yeah, and they wanted everybody. Oh, see, it did good. No, everybody just wanted this Modern Warfare Remastered because you had to have the Infinite Warfare disc to play.
Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, the Modern Warfare game. And then they released it separate finally. Which you knew they were going to do eventually.
Yeah, I downloaded it. It wouldn't let me download it without the You
ain't just going to buy that one. Then you're going to prove to our stockholders that nobody cared about this, but at least They were just probably going to release it as a separate game altogether, and just, in which they eventually did, like I said. But anyway, you go back and play it even now. And I remember downloading it and playing it for the first time when it was free. It was free on PS4 if you were a PS Plus member. And is that game great? It was still so great, so fun to play. I mean, the story mode is epic. And even the online's fun. It's simplistic. So it's fun. Yeah, it's just so. And I guess that's why. I mean, why do you think it? Why do you think it's so good?
I just think it's relevant. Like at the time it came out, and even today, I had forgotten about when that nuclear bomb goes off. Like what during your mission?
Yeah,
and you die. I mean, it's just like you KA, and then you just go back to playing the British guy, Yeah,
you're several different characters.
And at the end of the game, they've actually launched missiles at the East Coast, and you're like trying to get in there and deactivate them. I mean, it's almost like it's as scary as the Cold War was. I know we were really too young to appreciate it, but it's almost like we're right back there again,
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It's definitely a relevant game, and I guess that's just even just turning it on to play for this review, and you got what's his name, Frost. What's the main character's name? That not the one you play, but the one that's coming back.
Price,
yeah, Captain Price. And he's got those chops that come all the way down from your nose and reach around. You can actually have that in the British military, by the way. You can only have a stash in the American U.S. military, but in the British you can have a stash or that. I would rather have that. In the Canadian military, you can have a full beard. And then they're about to make it where you can have gauges in your ear. So it's just going to be a hippie military. But they're loving it, man. But I work with a lot of Canadians, just seeing him talk with the cigar. I mean, dude, you feel like, dude, I'm an SAS, operative coming in, and then I'm a recon Marine, and it just bounces back and forth. And I remember when I first played Call of Duty, and it's the second mission, or it's the one that says Charlie don't surf, something like that. And you're walking, you got to go to the TV station, so you're going as a Marine, you're walking with your
unit
MEU, and pulling up with your guns and just making sure you're like covering corners and stuff. People would jump up over the top or just pop up on top of buildings and start taking fire at you. And I remember walking through there, as nervous as you can be playing a video game, I guess, and go, oh, where are they going to come out? And then I started thinking, like, dude, people do this like in real life. They're running through here hoping they don't get killed, right? And that's when it kind of hit home for me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, And I guess just being modern and feeling like it's relative, like you can relate to it. And I can't relate to somebody in space, shooting with booster packs and these crazy kill streaks and little contraptions that turn into a spider and run off and blow up at some, this kind of stuff. It's and that's just a sci-fi game.
Well, at the same time, we also can't relate to World War II in the trenches, Well, it's like this is the stuff, I can relate to shooting an AR. I can't relate to shooting a M1 carbine. I might do it for fun, but not fighting for my life,
Well, I mean, you can relate because it's another human being in there, and it happened, and this is, you understand the type of weapons, and it's just not something fantastical. It's not something science fiction. Yeah, and I guess that's where I lose touch. At least for me, that's where I lose touch with the game.
That's why I never got into Halo, really. Yeah. And that's essentially what Infinite Warfare became.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah. So I was going to ask you this. I was going to ask a question, but you bring up a point that I didn't like Halo because of how unrealistic it was. You jumping around with crazy light swords and just everything. I mean, if I want a lightsaber, I'm going to play a Star Wars game. And so like Halo has that unrealistic feel to it because of everything that's going on. Now, granted, I play Destiny and it very much is unrealistic, but to me, it's completely different. But like with Call of Duty, every time I think of Call of Duty, I don't think of the missions like what y'all are talking about. All I think about is the multiplayer
I was
because
just
that's
gonna ask
all
you
I
about
really
it.
all I've really been. That's all I really know because that's all I really heard. My brother played Call of Duty a lot, and that's all they ever talked about was like, oh, we got these 10 kill streaks, these 15 kill streaks, and we got these cool packages because of these kill streaks and everything. I'm like, so to me, what's the draw for Call of Duty for y'all? Is it the multiplayer or is it the missions? Is it the story? I mean, I'm me as a person that I don't like Call of Duty. I tried playing it. I never could get into it. I do like the
You
realism
did play
of
with
it.
us
I
a few
thought
times,
that
I
was
remember.
great. I did. I tried, and it just couldn't get into it. I mean, it just really couldn't. I had a hard time getting into it. Now, granted, I played SOCOM 1 and 2, and I love those games, you know, and I played mainly just the multiplayer on those. You know, the missions on those were terrible, you know, and so...
It's just funny playing Call of Duty with us, and you were in there, and I remember looking down at your score. I remember this, man. I believe it or not, we looked down at the score, and you were like 2-18 or something ridiculous. And or maybe even 0-18, and but you were just having so much fun anyway. It's just fun. I mean, like he's just cutting up anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter.
And me, I was like, you know what? If I'm not gonna get kills, I'm gonna try to do something stupid to kill somebody. So I mean, I'm throwing grenades all the way across the board just to try to see if I can get lucky with something. But I mean, I never could get into it. And I want to know from y'all, since y'all played, you know, multiple versions of the Call of Duties, you know, just I mean, what really is the draw for you? Is it the multiplayer part, or is it the missions and stories? I mean, to me, it sounds like the stories, but I want to hear exactly what you say.
Yeah, I love the story because, man, you've been in the military, you know. I've always been fascinated by it, you know. Even in high school, I remember like Brock Pope and Johnny Gunn were totally into it, and I kind of piggybacked off of that. I had all these books. I'd go to Army surplus stores and buy like government issue gear to go deer hunting in, you know. I just
like the state guard.
As soon as I graduated from college, I bought a Beretta because I always wanted
military
one.
issue.
Then I bought an AR, you know. It's something about that I guess I'm not brave enough to actually throw myself into that. But at the same time, I appreciate it enough that I can enjoy it in a video game.
Here's something profound. Every American out there has a fighting spirit in them. You know what I'm saying? I believe that. I really do. And you can ask the most liberal or anti-war guy in the world. I remember to ask him this in film school, but I would say something like, if there was a war in China and it affected the U.S., would you go over there? No. And then you always say, what if they invaded the U.S.? Would you pick up a gun and fight then? And almost everybody would go, yep. You know, it's just inherent in our blood. I know a lot of people would defend their homeland, but
I've always heard that's why mainland America has never been invaded, because people know that we'll fight them.
Well, yeah, there's so many jokes that could go, but there's
you come to the South, you're going to get popped right off the bat. I mean, there's just too many guns in the South.
Well, that's Dre, whose wedding we were just at. He said his uncle or somebody was a high-ranking guy in the military, and there was a Russian. He was having lunch with this Russian. It was after the Cold War and everything, and there was also a high-ranking member in the Russian military, and asked the Russian, hey, why didn't you guys ever just come invade? I mean, you could have I'm sure he knows why they didn't come invade, but he just saying, have you ever thought about that? Y'all had way more people. And the Russian said that exactly what you said, Kleer. He said the South was armed. That's why we didn't do it. Which all of the U.S. is armed, and then the Japanese said that we're not going to invade the U.S. because there'd be a gun behind every blade of grass.
Yeah.
It's so true.
I loved hearing that statement from World War II stuff.
But anyway, back to Call of Duty. Ironically, for me, it's a mix because I love the story too, and I love the multiplayer. But the funny thing is, I like Treyarch's multiplayer better than Infinity Ward, but I love Infinity Ward's story better than Treyarch's. So if I could just ever somehow mix them together, it'd be perfect. But anyway, dude, the multiplayer, getting back on there, it hooked me again. It's just a lot more simplistic. You can't really do a whole lot with the guns. I think you can add a silencer to them, or a red dot, and I don't think you can have both. And you had the stopping power perk, which almost everybody had to use, or ghost. You know, so you could either kind of be off the radar a little bit, or we're not going to go into every single perk, but everybody kind of knows that. But stopping power essentially went away after a while because everybody was either going to quit. It just kind of seemed unfair, I guess. But it hooked me.
The one that they did away with, it was always my favorite, not being very good at multiplayer, was the one where you drop a grenade when you die.
Martyrdom, yeah.
That was where I got most of my kills from.
And they started making that a death streak. You know, if you died enough, then you started getting these streaks.
Yeah.
Grenades are my best friends.
So
well, it's just the games now. If it's like the people that are the best at it get rewarded with a kill streak that just kills everybody again.
And think about that, though. That is such a good point. Nobody. This was the first game that I know of. I think that had kill streaks. And since we're talking about multiplayer, all you had was the UAV, and then you had a helicopter or a UAV, then an artillery, and then a helicopter come in. And so you're like, cool. But think about a business strategy. If you sit there and go, hey, let's have a multiplayer game if it's competitive, and let's say the guy that's doing the best can get better, you know, and start killing people more and frustrating everybody else worse. You know, that's a pretty brave deal. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, you'd have a little pause and going, well, nobody's going to want to play it if they're not at the peak level because they're just going to get destroyed. But that's not the case.
It's a very risky move. I mean, it's a risky move. And it paid off for him. I mean, you could see for Call of Duty it paid off. You know, for me, it's like I like the multiplayer style of SOCOM. That's my very absolute favorite multiplayer style. You know, because you just got your guns, you just got people, you're just shooting to kill, and that's it. There's no kill streaks, there's no nothing. You only got an X amount of life. When you're dead, you're dead, and that's it. You know, I mean, I loved that play style. That was my favorite multiplayer play style. And it's like, why did they go away from it? But you know, seeing with what they're doing with Call of Duty, they must be doing something right because one, they sell like crazy, and two, I mean, almost everybody I know plays it.
Yeah, and it's talking about the martyrdom, and, you know, a lot of people complained. And you really kind of wonder, it doesn't bother me. It only bothers me when, man, I had a kill streak, and then he dropped a grenade after I killed him, and I died. Well, it's like you got to take that into account, right? When you kill somebody, but that requires too much thinking. And it seems like some of these hardcore, and I don't know if I had a revelation on there, he could blast off on these guys that are so hardcore. It seems to change the game for everybody because they don't want to change their strategy. They want it to be just a fast twitch muscle game instead of more of a strategy game. You see what I'm saying?
But think about this. If you just, I know this is like just so off the wall here, but if you're pulling the pin on a grenade and about to throw it and you get shot, what's going to happen to it?
Well,
it's going to go boom. So, I mean,
yeah.
That's why the martyrdom fix in, I think. For me, martyrdom would be my lifesaver. I mean, it's kind of like, I'm kind of like with Coach over here. That's about the only way I'd get my kills, too.
Well, it's certainly a perk that we understand, but it's, you know, and another one real quick is why when you had the last stand, I understand that one, you could lay somebody out. And
they could shoot you with a pistol.
Yeah. And it would takes a half a second as they're falling, they're invincible. And then worse, it's on game based on kill streaks. If somebody else pops that dude after you laid him out, he gets the kill. They changed it on one of them to where that would be the assist instead of the kill. But, you know, these are things that require, or like these quick snipers or whoever, you know, you can't talk Call of Duty without a quick sniper that kind of basically cheat the mechanics of the game to use take advantage of the auto targeting with their rifles, and where they just pull up and shoot so they can kill you up close across the map with one shot, but they'll complain about somebody using a shotgun that'll kill you with one shot, but they have to be within 5 feet of you, you know, and so they don't like the shotgun because, well, that ain't fair, I can't quick snipe as much, or, you know, whatever. But these people that stream, or these people that are world champions at Call of Duty, they're going to impact the game. They're like lobbyists, you know, for the government. Whoever has the most money can get things done, but it impacts the entire community, entire civilization, and it's an entire gaming ecosystem. You're changing my shotgun just because you didn't want to account for it and change your strategy the way that the game was supposed to be played. We all are forced to play it your way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think where it probably came from originally are these guys that, I think it was some kind of like trophy or something where there's always that one guy running around killing everybody with a knife.
That's great.
Or with a tomahawk. But it's like
I love the tomahawk.
You're guaranteed to die if you're killing somebody with a knife and they have martyrdom, you know?
Well,
it pretty much eliminated that play style.
You can't kill them and then teabag them. That's probably what happened to it. But I mean, you know, you can kill them and run off.
I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare might be where teabagging started.
I think Halo did.
It started in Halo.
But it's perfected in Call of Duty because you didn't have that armor. So yeah, you want some, yeah. But anyway. That's an interesting thing about Call of Duty, that they changed these things, and they're trying to adapt it. And, you know, the death streaks, I think, was a great addition. I think that's probably the best way to do it. You get the best of both worlds. And if you're dying constantly, you at least get a better perk. You'd have to die like 3 times to get martyrdom. Then after you use it, it's over. You got to wait. You got to die 3 more times if you want it. But anyway, man, I think that is a great game, and for whatever reason, whether it's relevant, whether they just simplified, it's just simple, man. I think that's why there's something to be said for that. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to go, man, maybe I could use this. Maybe I should use this loadout. Maybe I should really bog down. It's enough to keep it fresh.
You don't have 20 attachments for every gun.
Yeah.
And you have to level up the gun for it to be worth using. That was what discouraged me in the latter games was, say I got sick of using a assault rifle. I want to switch to sniper rifle. Well, you got to start off with like the weakest one that won't even kill somebody with one shot. Just make it where everybody's using the same guns.
Yeah.
Don't reward the grinders.
Yeah, if you grind out, then you get that one-shot sniper. You shoot somebody in the foot, it'll kill them. And you're just starting off, and you got that one. You got to shoot 2 to the chest and 1 to the head to get a kill while they're running and jumping. And that's another thing when people jump around these corners.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that more than anything. Or whenever they'll jump and then lay prone and shoot and just keep
it just happened
that.
to kill you, and they think that helped. That's what's so annoying. Obviously, because I ducked down and jumped up real quick, and he was shooting over my head.
Jump and lay prone.
One of my favorite things to do is tomahawk. Go back and look at this tomahawk video I put on the Holliwood Cole YouTube, and it's got
awesome.
Black Ops 2 and the World War II. But just nothing but cool tomahawks. Me and Rev did. But my favorite, I mean, I will die 10 times in a row just for this to happen. It's when somebody sees you and they do that dive towards you to try to get them, and you throw a tomahawk and square them right in the forehead, and they die before they hit the ground. You try to do this cool move, and you just got embarrassed. And now that I got the power of a game capture card, it's going on YouTube for the world to see with your name bold. And I'm going to zoom in on that forehead. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm so ready for this.
So let me. I want to ask you something else too, because you know there's one other gameplay in the whole Call of Duty series that we hadn't brought up yet, and it's the zombies. Yeah. And like, is that something that also brings you to it? Because I know us playing with some of our people in our clan, they were like, you know, I forget which version it was. It was during when me and Holliwood were hardcore into D1, and I remember Culinary Kid saying, "Oh, I can't wait till zombies come out. You know, it's coming out. It's in the next release, and yada yada yada." Just pumping it up, talking so much about it. I mean, what's really the
I'm
draw
because
to
of
that?
Culinary Kid. I forgot about Culinary Kid. He was cool.
I don't like it. That just goes back to that realism thing. like a game like Last of Us, I like, you know, like The Walking Dead, I like, but that is just, it's an alternate universe, you know, when you just try to interject zombies into my modern, you know.
It was relatable at first, and now it's, I got 1,500 zombies.
It doesn't do it for me in the Call of Duty world.
There's a lot of that came out at World at War. That was the first zombie, and that one we played a little bit, and it only got more complex from there. And there's a whole culture of people that play Call of Duty just for the zombies, And I am not one. And it's just essentially, for me, it's just the new ones are so complicated that it's like, I don't want to invest the time in a game that you really can't. Well, now you can win them. You can escape, but they're super complicated. But back then, I don't like a game where you can't really win. You just see what level you get to and die. And I got to level 100. Great, I got to 80. Man, that how hard are those 20 levels to get to? I have no idea. Pretty hard, I guess. I mean,
it seems like you had to level up like independently of your game character that you
did,
built up.
And you had to level up your guns, and you had to know. I mean, you had to invest enough time to know, where this gun is. Where am I going to upgrade this gun? And when am I going to this little, basically, what is it called? Like a little care package chest or something that pops open, and you get some kind of special gun, and you level that thing up, and it's literally like what was that gun? Like the P90 or something from, the World War II. That's just super fast, but now it has like light bulbs on it that are purple and gas tubes and going in shooting pink lasers and chewing up zombies. You're like, what happened to this game? I can't relate to that. But
so it's basically like Halo inside of it's kind of Call of Duty. It sounds like.
I was trying to call in a laser strike from the satellite to come down and kill all the zombies in World War II.
I want consistency, and it's obvious that they were just trying to milk every little bit of potential customer they could out of one package, and I guess it worked because they kept doing it.
Well, let's talk about this new one coming out while we got a little bit of time here. They're re-releasing. They're re-releasing the title, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. That's the title of it. It comes out October 25th. And it's going to have all your old characters, right? It's not a remake. It's a brand new series. And it's going to be relevant again. It's going to be, we can say relevant 500 times on this podcast, but it's going to be, current military gear, current military guns, just stuff that, I guess you can feel like you're, a recon Marine in the military or an SAS agent in Her Majesty's military. But stuff like that. One of the things that they've done in the story mode, I don't really know a lot about. I'm sure it's going to be epic, though. I mean, they always are. I'm a little disappointed they took out the story from Black Ops 4, which I never bought.
I didn't either.
I would have bought it if it had a story. And then we're going to have to get into the Battle Royale because this new game has it.
Oh, that's right. Black Ops 4 didn't. Yeah, that's right. It was just multiplayer.
They cut the story out just to have this Battle Royale. So disappointed a lot of fans, but I don't even consider it like a call. I mean, I don't know. It's just whatever. We already talked about that. The story's awesome. All right, so I don't know a whole lot about the new story, but like I said, it's going to be epic. It's got the old school. It's got Captain Price. It's probably going to have Soap in there. That was your character. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit about the multiplayer stuff and see what you guys' take on this. One thing that they're adding that I do like is the gun mechanics. Okay, so you have a gun. Let's say you got an AK-47 where you got attachments, the barrel, the stock, the clip, light, all these different attachments, even the size of the round, the caliber of the round. So you can take that AK-47 and turn it with a short barrel and no stock into a AK-74U. You can turn it into an RPD with a heavy machine gun by adding a longer barrel, a thicker clip, and a stand on it, and all. So you can shape these guns and make them, and so they add that. It's not just cosmetic. It's the amount of power. So maybe you move slower, or it's aim faster down the sight. So maybe it jumps a little bit more. It's all these cost benefit analysis. You got to do these pros and cons for each piece. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that'll be a good addition? I think it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I do too. The gunplay in Call of Duty has always been awesome.
Yeah,
like you take an AR, you can pretty much just send one round right after the other. Barrel doesn't move. You pick up that AK, it's hopping.
It's just climbing.
It's a huge round. To think about shooting a round that you deer hunt with on fully automatic, it's brutal. but they and even back then, back in '07, it was so, there was so much uniqueness to each gun.
Yeah.
Like it's so lazy to just make a Beretta
Different
act
skin.
just like a 45, just different graphics. But they really put some effort into it. So I'm anxious to see how far it's come to this point.
That Beretta has I used to run with that Beretta with the silencer off, and my buddy's like, you can leave that silencer on. It doesn't hurt the power of it, but the way that it sounded just like, because that's the military issue for Air Force officers, if you deploy or whatever. But it feels and sounds just like that. And we had just got done shooting it, and 'cause I just got in '06, and we just got out OTS in '07. And that's when it came out, and I just love that. So they put a lot of time into those guns.
If I'm not mistaken, SIG got the new contract.
Yeah, I think you're right. What's up, Kleer?
Well, from a non Call of Duty player standpoint, it sounds like that's an interesting twist to the game, to add something like that where you have those modifications. For me, I don't know if that's enough to make me want to play.
Oh, no. Well, I got a whole list. Here, let me check this off the list.
Well, then let's start checking them off the list.
So the latest ones had score streaks, which I do like. I like that. I think this is a file. They went back to kill streaks, to where you get a kill, you get a point, and you got to get 3 kills and you get your UAV versus your score streak. With your score streaks, if you got an assist, it at least counted for something. Assist counts for nothing. If you're doing kill streaks, or capturing a flag counts for nothing. They might add they might give you a point for that. But as far as we know now, I think it's just back to kill streaks, and they justified it by saying that, well, it just keeps people from overthinking. Like exactly where you stand on your where you're at with your kill streaks. You don't have to go, oh, if I go capture this and then I get 1 assist, or I pick up what I'm saying. But I never thought that. I just tried to kill anyway, and tried to capture objectives anyway.
Yeah, from my standpoint, I would prefer the score base versus the kill streak. The kill streak is gonna, I get assist, I capture the flag. I mean, when you see me playing PvP on Destiny 2 and it's playing Control or Iron Banner, I'm the one that's getting 9, 10, 12 captures a game versus, maybe 10 or 12 kills. I'm not getting a ton of kills, whereas, most people are getting 30, 40 kills. I'm getting more of the captures and doing that. I'm kind of more of the capture and assist type player versus the full out getting the kill player. So for me, that's another turn off there for me.
Yep. See, it won't do you any good.
I think one place they could improve on it is if they didn't let the kill streak add to your kills. Just like,
I liked that though.
If you're doing an airstrike and you immediately kill 10 more people, that just gives you another kill streak.
I like that, man.
It just,
because you can stack your kill streaks for your advantage. They did that in Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare 2, and they stopped it later. But that was so fun because you get the chopper gunner, and then I got the nuke one time, and but I stacked my kill streaks for UAV, or then like a Hellfire missile or whatever, and then the chopper gunner. And so I'm just mowing folks down, and I was like, dude, I was telling Rev, he was playing with me, I was like, dude, I got like 20 kills, man, and I'm on the chopper gunner. He said, where are you at? I'll guard you. And he just stood around me and just laid waste. They knew where I was because they got killed by the chopper gunner. Well, you just see the chopper gunner, but they can still see. Somehow they seem to know because they kept coming to me in the corner, and Rev was laying them out, and you get 25 kills and get the nuke. And guess what? That's back in the new one. They're going to have the nuke again. If you go 25-0, you get the nuke, blows up everybody, game over. And I think that's a cool addition. But I actually like that. I mean, I could see it both ways. But that just lets me stack my kill streak, and then I feel like I'm, not just racking up a high score. I'm actually going for another event when I'm doing a kill streak.
It's good when you're on top.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I had one of those 40-1, 40-2 runs. That controversial game, where you had to go into the mall as a Russian and just kill civilians.
No, it's in the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But they could have done without that. But I remember that was the game where
who's going to buy that game though? And then they this next mission, it gives you the option. This next mission is pretty controversial. Would you like to skip it? Oh, absolutely. if it's controversial. I mean, you don't know what it is. They don't give you a hint or anything like, oh, you're going to be shooting people up in the airport. I don't want to do that. You know, they don't tell you that. They just say it's just controversial. So of course, just out of curiosity, you're going to click it. But they're saying.
Did you see where?
Go.
I was going to say where Walmart pulled all their violent video games off the shelf.
Oh, don't even.
But they still sell guns.
So guns aren't violent. It's not the guns that are making people do it. But okay, so we're getting all off the track.
Yeah, I don't want to even get into that yet. I'm
Kleer's doing
I have some thoughts on that whole video game and violence thing.
You're doing a fireside chat on it, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I am. I'll probably record that tomorrow.
All right, we'll save that for the You can save that for the fireside chat. So anyway, so this one, they're saying you've heard it a million times. Boots on the ground. Well, they're saying this one's going to play a little bit slower, probably more like the old one. Obviously slower than the ones where you just burst into the air and you're doing all this jumps and running on walls, which is going to be great. I think that's better. I play better that way, but they say it does kind of encourage camping because of one big thing they took out. And I want your guys' opinion on this. And it's a very, well, let's get your opinion on it before I tell you what everybody's opinion is. They took out the mini map on multiplayer. So you don't know the map, which you will eventually learn, but you don't know where your people are. So you can't see if somebody's behind you, watching your back or whatever. You can see through walls now and see outline of your people if they're close. Not the bad guys, but your own teammates, so you can get an idea.
I think that's the way hardcore has always been, with no map.
And I didn't have a problem with it. I liked it, actually. But everybody is saying, and this is just, they can always put it back in. The only way to get it is you can have a personal UAV where only you can see it based on a kill streak. That's 2 kills if you have hardline, 3 if you don't, or a standard UAV that everybody can see.
I like that.
I think it's going to be good, but everybody's complaining about it. I
guess I'm going to be within everybody complaining about it. I love my mini map on my PvP games. I love seeing where the blueberries are, because then that way I know, okay, if I've got some blueberries over here, I know to stay away from that area. I'm probably going to get gacked if I go over there. But also, too, it allows me to say, okay, it allows me to say, okay, well, here are my clan mates or my teammates that I'm playing with. Here's the formation. They're running this way. I just died. I respawned. Here's where I need to get back to. And I can see it on my mini map. And I like how Destiny did their mini map. And I hate to bring that up, but it's the one it's the only game that I played like hardcore PvP in. And, theirs is just, you see blue dots and it's like a circle and it's a grid that kind of gives you a little bit of a distance idea, but it's not the actual map, so you can't see the map layout. And so I really like what they did there, because you at least know, okay, if I go this direction, I'm going to run into a bunch of blueberries, or if I go to this direction, I'm going to catch up with my clan mates. So, I like that form, and having no mini map at all kind of takes that away, because until you get close to them, you don't know that they're there.
I think where it comes from, or probably originally their thought process was, not everybody's going to have chat, not everybody's going to have headphones and a mic. But in reality, if you're in a assault team, you're going to know where each other is. Everybody's not going to be running blind. And I kind of like it from that perspective. But
it's like Kleer was saying, I like to go where the people are not. And if I know everybody's on the left side and I'm trying to run up there to get somebody, and I just pull up and there's a bunch of my dudes just hanging out, and I'm like, man, ain't nobody over here. I need to run over to the other side. Or that's what kind of the problems that people are running into. That encourages you to just post up, because you don't know if somebody's going to come behind you, since you don't see your buddies behind you, even if they are. And then another one, think about this, for people that play domination or any type of objective game, you don't know if the spawns have flipped. So you'll run all the way back to A and nobody will be there because, they flipped spawns on you. That's all. Your team has just spawned there and run off. And you're there trying to defend it, and or just go back, capture it, and they spawned, or whatever. You just don't know where the spawns have flipped, and you're running over there thinking you're going to get into something, and you're not. It just slows the gameplay down. So I don't know about that. It's just going to depend. I think I'll like it. I don't think it's as big as a deal to me as it seems to be for everybody else. I played Team Deathmatch anyway. But Yeah, and everybody's still, all the YouTubers are still at least being honest, saying, it's just one of these maybes. Maybe it'll be great. We don't know for sure, but it's definitely every one out of the 100-something YouTubers that were invited to Activision's playthrough, they all had that exact same complaint.
I like kill confirmed.
I mean, I like what Coach said. The realism is you're going to know where your teammates are when you're going on a strike. I mean, you got realism there. You're not going to have a mini map unless you have some kind of really super high tech gear in real life. I mean, it's just one of those things where, it's that realism thing again.
He's saying the mini map takes the place of people that don't have a mic, so that you'll know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It kind of represents that I know where my guys are, as if they were telling me.
He said it both. He was saying it both ways too, though. At least that's what I interpreted from what he was saying. The realism if you're on a strike team.
You'll know, yeah.
And say, hey, I'm over here by this crate. All right, dude. I mean, I don't know where that is. I'm down here by the fountain. I know. Okay. Everybody will eventually learn the maps, and so that's when I think it might not be that big a deal once you learn the maps. And you got to keep in mind that's the way they're designing the game, as not just for to appease everybody's first few days of playing. It's for the long game, the end game, right? What we talked about.
If they keep doing the kill confirmed, that's my favorite format to play because you get more experience for picking up the dog tags of the people you kill.
Yeah.
If you can't see if there's a bunch of red dots around
it. Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, you can't even see on the mini map where the tags are now.
Yeah, you definitely have to be the one getting the kill, or you're never going to find them.
Well, so here's something funny that you might hear me that Kleer will be surprised that I say. Let me preface it. They got finishing moves now, which is pretty cool.
Gosh.
You run up behind somebody, and dude, you just murk them in the most embarrassing way. And I guarantee they're going to have a teabag animation for 99 cents that you can buy. Something like that. They're going to have microtransactions that are going to give you finishing moves. I mean, they're brutal, and it's embarrassing. It's almost embarrassing as getting tomahawked, but not quite. But I mean, it's those I could see microtransactions there. You actually get some value. It's not cosmetic, but it doesn't give you an advantage. So that's I think that's a good business plan if they do that. Believe it or not.
Probably have something like Scorpion ripping your head out with your spine.
So one of them is an axe or a hatchet, so he comes up and hits him on the shoulder, and he turns, then he comes down and hits his leg, and then comes back down on top of him. And I'm sure they're going to have, some type of Spartan 300 finishers. One dude has a machete, and there's going to be some pop culture references at some point for some cool finishers, some Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger type of deals. I would almost be willing to bet.
As long as you're not immune while you're doing it,
yeah.
I want to still be able to kill you while you're
catch a tomahawk, catch that animation.
So I'm shaking my head at Holliwood for two reasons. One, the microtransaction reason, and two, the finishers. So I don't know if Holliwood knows this or not, but Destiny 2 in Shadowkeep is also introducing finishers in theirs as well. And I got to saw a glimpse of some finishers on one of the videos
it used to be
that they just
Activision.
posted. Yeah, it used to be Activision, but Destiny 2 is also introducing finishers in theirs, and I'm just like, dude, it's just cheesy and corny. I mean, it's like, I don't know, I don't like the way that they're doing it, because basically the way they presented it, it was like, okay, here's your finisher. You get he was fighting some Cabal infantry guy, and basically got him down to low health and came up and did a melee to him. And when he did the melee, it was like a special looking finisher. It pulled the camera back and knocked the dude's head off or whatever. And I was like, really? That's what we're gonna? That's a finisher? That's how you? It's like, no, tie it in with the supers
Cliche.
or something if you're gonna do that. I mean, the finishers here might work better because it's
the finishers here work
behind him
because it embarrasses somebody else. That's the reason. If it's just in a PvE environment, it doesn't really do anything. It is cheesy and corny, as you said, but.
Yeah, these finishers will probably be in the PvP environment as well, but Destiny's so heavy split both ways.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of iffy on finishers. I mean, like, I could see where in the Call of Duty area, it could probably be, you know, like you said, an embarrassment to the other person, because you
that's the
basically,
whole
if you
point of
sneak
playing.
up on him and he doesn't know you at all, you rip his head off, you know. I mean, that's kind of a, well, don't be a fool, you know, don't be slipping.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of the whole point of the Call of Duty is to that's the purpose of Call of Duties in multiplayer, is just to embarrass the other people, particularly guys that either quick snipe or think they're really good at the game or spend a lot of money on the game. So tomahawks are a great way to do that. Finishers will be another way to do that. I think that's the fun to me. I mean, you can go get an assault rifle and try to get your best loadout and get the best kill streaks, and I'll do that sometimes, and it is fun. But at some point, you know, you're not going to match the best players. You just don't play enough. You know, these guys play forever. And so now you get the tomahawks out. You get something that you can embarrass them, and we just laugh so hard. So that's the fun part.
I could definitely be the one for you that you want to try out all your finishers on, because I definitely, if I play the game, that's about the best. That's about the best thing I can do for you. Is hey, I'll stand right here. You can pull your finisher on me.
One thing I've noticed I've forgotten about since I played Modern Warfare today was putting out your claymores. Claymores are so like noob friendly that they don't even let you get them anymore.
That's true.
Gosh.
You got to be like level 70 with max everything else before you can even get claymores, because it's so easy to kill people with them.
At least in the World War II, the bouncing betties, you could duck down and avoid and get around it if you were quick enough. If you heard it pop off, you could just lay down.
Yeah.
But they're bringing them back on the new one. So you'll have those. And so another thing that they're kind of doing is the maps. You know, there was that 3-lane BS that everybody did, all the different maps. You either go left, right, or up the middle. And all you had to do was just guard those choke points. Just boring. And now they're bringing back like the old school one, which is part of the Modern Warfare fun factors, that you can find good spots to get and hold down. And is that unfair? They think that kind of adds, like if somebody snipes you from the top of a tower, what are you going to do? Your objective, you just kind of created some type of mini objective now in your mind. I've got to go take this dude out. He's not going to sit there and snipe me or snipe my team, as opposed to just,
you'll have a claymore up
yeah,
there.
I'll go up there and snipe him and then get up there and wait for him to try to come back. I love doing that. When I find a camper spot, dude, I love camping that spot for him just for the sole purpose that he can't get up there. I don't care how many kills I get. It's just, I'm a jerk on these games. It's just so fun to me. They got a 357 now. It's awesome. I can't, a 357, man. It's like I got a 357 in real life. It looks just like it. So you know what I'm going to be rolling with, because it's relatable.
Hell yeah.
I got to get all my real guns loaded out and then name my guy Marcus, and then I'm going to be good to go. But it's the realism. So we're going to have so a couple of new modes. There's different game types. I won't get into all of them, but there's a couple of new realism mode. It's like the hardcore, where there is absolutely nothing on your screen. Nothing. I think you can pull up a UAV radar. I would assume so. But even the kill streak that you get, there's like a little white dot that pops up, just to let you know that you got one of your kill streaks. And they also have a night vision game mode, to where it'll have two versions of the map. One that is a night vision version, so you have to use your night vision. You see the lasers, from the you can't look down the sights either. You kind of turn your gun to the side, and you got to just follow the laser to where you're going to shoot somebody. So it's an interesting change. We'll see how that plays out. They got doors now that use so many different ways you can enter the door, and I've heard that it's super loud. So if you're trying to sneak around, you can just barge through the door, and you can hear it like 4 buildings down. If you just blast through it. You can open it up normal. You can hear it 2 buildings down. It's kind of the analogy the guy used. Or you can open it up real slow and go in. Or you can open up through a flashbang, close it, and then open it up. There's all kind of things you can do. So you can tell that the gameplay is starting to get slowed down a little bit, which I think is good. They got it. Let me go over some of these kill streaks real quick that I like that it came back. They're going to have Chopper Gunner. They're going to have the AC-130 gunship. They're going to have a Juggernaut. I already talked about the nuke. They're obviously going to have, I'm not going to go into every one of them. Some of them you understand, care packages they're going to have. They're going to have the A10, which is my favorite one in Black Ops 2. That's my favorite one. I run with that one every time. And then they're going to have something that's interesting. It's white phosphorus. That's called Willie Pete in the military circles.
Willie Pete.
Yeah, because it's WP, and it's illegal. You can't use it because it burns so hot. You've seen it on We Were Soldiers, where they throw that white phosphorus grenade on that little platoon that gets cut off, and it goes into his skin, and it's a hot piece of metal that you cannot cool down. It will never cool down. It burns itself up. So they cut it out of his face. That's the only way to get it to stop. It's just going to keep burning until you cut it out of your face. And now they still have it, but you use it for sighting in target. You know, if you're a mortar fire artillery guy in the Army, you can use it to sight in your artillery because it's just a big smoke. But, you know, you're not supposed to use it in combat. But you can use it on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, drop it from a plane. White phosphorus everywhere. So we'll see what that does.
When you were talking about the doors, that reminded me of something that playing Modern Warfare earlier today. It's frustrating when you can interact with certain aspects of the environment. Like there'll be 3 doors and only one of them you can open. It's just like the other ones are just there like a rock. Just you can't. And I know it'd be hard to make it. I guess Grand Theft Auto did a pretty good job of that, making the entire environment interactive. Yeah. But that trying to find the right door to make Captain Price like get in his kneel position and open it for you.
Well, this is the multiplayer, yeah. But they're doing a thing to where they're trying to get rid of this simplicity. And that's probably the wrong word. They're bringing some of that back. But like, for example, they use the example of they're going to add some places that you're really going to have to know about and really try to explore to get to them. I mean, in other words, there's going to be value in a clan that just jumps on a map and just goes exploring. Where can we stand? Where can we jump to? How far can we jump? Can we find any of these ledges that would otherwise be unreachable? There's a lot of value there because they're going to add that. Like, you know, the previous Call of Duties, you know, you would see a crate and then a low rising balcony and then a window or something. You know that's there. That crate's just in front of that window so you can climb up and get up there. It's real obvious, but it's not going to be obvious here. Supposedly, that's what they're saying. They're bringing that back. So, you know, you might not know you can get up there, which is fun. I mean, eventually everybody will know, but anyway, so some of the things they're doing, they have a 6v6 mode, a 10v10, a 20v20, and even a 64 ground war. Right, but my favorite, which I'm really going to like, I think, is either going to be a 6v6 or they got a 2v2 mode. That's pretty cool. I think that's going to be fun. These smaller maps, 6v6, and SOCOM was 8v8, but that's my type of style. You can just it's just not so much to digest. You can actually use a little strategy with the smaller ones. And you've seen the 6v6. I believe that you can resurrect the guys. I'm maybe just be a game mode, but I've seen the gameplay where if somebody goes down, you can resurrect them or whatever. But, you know,
did you say there was a 64 player match?
Yeah, 64 ground war. Yeah, it's like a battle royale. So
basically trying to have a battle royal? Okay.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So, beta, this is another thing. So the beta is coming out next month in September. If you pre-order the game, you can play it on the 12th and the 13th, but only if you have a PlayStation 4. All right, 14th and 16th, it's open to all PlayStation 4 owners. So 12th through the 16th, if you own a PlayStation 4, you can play it if you pre-ordered it. All right, and then Xbox Early Access for Xbox and PC comes out the 19th and 20th. That's only for Early Access if you pre-order. And then open to all on the 21st. So unless you have a PlayStation, if you have an Xbox, it's like Weed Doc, and he doesn't pre-order, he gets to play the beta one day, the 21st. If you're a PC player that didn't pre-order, you play it one day. If you're a PlayStation owner, you play it for 7 days. So, dude, PlayStation's killing it, man. I mean, they got these exclusive deals. They got, but these are big blockbuster games that, why would you not want to have a PS4? You know?
Yeah.
So, sucks for Xbox. You got to do something, man.
I'm just so iffy on those whole exclusive things like that.
I knew.
It's I don't want to get into it. I just want to say I'm just so iffy about it. It's kind of frustrating because it just limits play.
Greasing pockets. Somebody's
it is.
paid somebody off.
Yeah, I don't like the exclusivity either. But
if you got a PlayStation, you don't have to worry about it.
I know,
That's
but
the way I look at it.
It is going to be cross-platform, so you could have an Xbox and be the only Call of Duty, the only Xbox in the world, and have Call of Duty, and you still can play with everybody else. It is cross-platform play. Just for the betas, you're not going to be able to play, and that's just kind of weird. Why is it like that? Hey, let me pay you a little extra just to have the beta on PlayStation 4 for 4 days earlier, and you're only going to open it to all on the 21st. Now, I understand you stagger the systems because you want to work in the cross-play during the beta test slowly. But, but Xbox and PC don't even get near the beta time that PlayStation 4 gets.
So is the cross-platform, you said that's going to be the whole time or only?
During the beta, you mean? Or the whole time? During the actual game, it'll be cross-platform, yeah. And during the beta.
That's pretty revolutionary. I don't think anybody's done that yet.
Yeah, they're all starting to do it. Fortnite started it. Now everybody has to do it.
Yeah.
But
PlayStation was the last holdout on that.
Yeah, you can find out more about this coming up in Monday, the 19th, if I get this out before then, which I should, on GamesCon. More about the COD. Everybody's going to learn a bit more about that. A lot of people know about the multiplayer, where everybody's assuming this is going to be more about the story, because I couldn't find a whole lot about the story. But anyway, the multiplayer is going to have a lot of good things. I like everything so far. They're going to have a throwing knife. I've seen that. That looks great. But so expect a lot of videos from Holliwood Cole on my channel, at least. It's because I've been having a lot of fun with this. Any cool kill, your name is going up there. So don't let Holliwood Cole find you on that battlefield. It'll make you famous.
So you bring up something real quick. Do you have the dates on GamesCon?
Yeah, the 19th of August.
The 19th of August when it starts. Yeah, because it's all over in Germany, so time will be different and all that for us for watching it.
Okay. But anyway, man, that's kind of all I got on that new one, and there's a lot of stuff going around, big blockbuster games, so it's fun to get on here and talk about the comparisons of those two. But I mean, whether you love or hate Call of Duty, I think everybody would agree that the Modern Warfare is one of the better ones. So.
Yeah, it's a good thing that the story hadn't leaked out, because you know it's going to be good.
Oh yeah.
And I'd rather go in totally blind than already have expectations.
Which I won't watch anything else about it, man. I mean, after I just looked at this stuff for this review, but or for this just whatever you want to call it, news. But
preview.
Yeah, this preview. So I would like to be surprised with this kind of stuff too. Even the kill streaks, I like to just learn as I'm doing them sometimes. But
yeah.
But anyway, you guys got anything else you want to wrap this thing up?
Just talking about the playing through that game earlier today. I remember how my mind was blown. Like I'm just going through a mission and a mushroom cloud goes up.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, or like whenever Price was interrogating the main antagonist of the game, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head.
Yeah,
it's just I love that. It's like being able to watch a movie for the first time and play a game, and I look forward to that again. Yeah,
it's just. We didn't even get into the sniper missions and the AC-130 missions and all these. Just, you probably just wanted to be on an AC-130 gunner, and you got to do it, and you got to feel like that's what it would feel like to some degree, without being the chance of being shot down, So
yeah, they did a good job of it.
I'll just tell you this, guys. If I do pick it up and you want any practice on your finishers, or you want to practice on scoping somebody from across the board, I'm your guy.
See if I can shoot you with a tomahawk. Stand right there. Where do I need to be to hit you with a tomahawk?
I'm definitely will be your cannon fodder, because that's about the best I can do at that game.
I'll tell you something crazy. There's this little community on YouTube of these guys that they test the guns in Wildlands just like real guns. Like they step off. They step off exactly 200 yards and change attachments and watch where the bullet hits on the wall.
Oh gosh!
They've got the ballistics of a video game, but it's got to the point to where it's realistic. You know, like the bullet drop on a 308 is going to be different than a 5.56.
That's some serious CPU bytes to calculate that real time and for what cost benefit. You know what I'm saying? It's
They say it's mostly like the community is mostly like ex-military guys, and that's all they know. You know, and after you get out, if you aren't a private contractor, you want a realistic
might as well be a
game.
gun tester on wildlands.
Oh my gosh!
Let's go pretend like you're still in. But all right, guys, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/HnKEXP. Like us, give us a review, tell us what you think about the podcast and what you want to hear next. You can find us listen to the podcast on any one of your favorite podcast mediums by just typing the HnK video game experience. Which, by the way, Kleer, I tried to find us on Podcoin. We're not on there yet. So
yes, we are. I found it the other day.
I just looked for it. What did you? I just typed in the HnK.
I'll send links to it. I found it. It took me a little digging to find it, but I found it.
Okay, so it's like Google Play, where you can't just type it in. You have to have the link, which I don't understand. Some of them you have to have the link.
It's a little frustrating, but yeah, I did find us on Podcoin. I did a little searching and dug for it.
Okay, yeah, send it to me because I want to get some Podcoin points if I listen to it. But all right, well, appreciate you joining us, Coach.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great having you, man. Miss chatting to you.
Yeah, always fun having you on here. Got to do it more often, not wait so long next time.
Anytime.
But
I can't talk much about Destiny, but
well, we've talked that to death.
Maybe we can jump back on that Monster Hunter.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure we'll talk about that once it comes out. But
definitely Call of Duty.
Yeah, well, we'll do a reattack once it's out. But we hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care.
Take it easy,
Peace
guys.
out. I gets money.